Hi, I'm Steve Indelicato.
Hi, I'm Linda Indelicato.
We've had the privilege of working with Tyler Bosch at Modern Capital for the last 6 months. We're in the early stages of retirement. I'm about 6 months out of work, and Linda is staging to join me in that phase of life. Before meeting Tyler Bosch at Modern Capital, retirement was a complete enigma for me. It was a complete unknown. Had done no planning, no forethought for it, other than the typical 401k stash. Had not really spoken to any financial planners in advance. Once I got to the point where I made the decision I was going to be retiring, started to speak to a number of financial planners. Modern Capital was not the first one I spoke to. They came along after the fact, and having done a little bit of due diligence ahead of time, I was very impressed with what Modern Capital had to offer. The idea of retirement brought all kinds of thoughts of uncertainty with regards to political times, the changes in the market subsequent to the upcoming election, changes in housing market, surges in the stock market. My background is healthcare. Finance is almost an unknown to me. All of those factors just fed into a level of uncertainty, unknowing. It was unknown for us, and we were thrust into it, and we had to just kind of lower our shoulder and start plowing through the plethora of information that's out there with regards to finance management.
My first impression of Tyler was he first reminded me of my son-in-law, and very patient. He just took a lot of time with us, explained everything.
Linda made a comment to me at the end of that meeting that Tyler reminded her of our son-in-law, Jerry, that he was nonplussed, unflappable, and just so even-keeled and patient in answering our rudimentary questions. Best way I could describe it. What gained my trust with Tyler Bosch at Modern Capital was when he put together the financial plan. We had several introductory meetings. We spoke briefly about plans. We spoke specifics about our financial situation. When he put together the plan and forwarded it to me, it matched up exactly with what he described to me. There were no inconsistencies. Furthermore, I guess the real pivotal point was when he sent the contract that was going to be where we were going to engage them. There were no surprises in the contract. There wasn't a page of hidden fees that weren't discussed. There wasn't a commission that was going to anybody for a fund or anything. Exactly what he described was exactly what was in that contract. And that kind of consistency for me is where you gain my trust. That was ironclad for me.
It took a little bit of time. What he had just mentioned, he had gone with a lot of different companies reviewing and asking for their information, and every time he would get it, he's like, nope, this is not right. And once he found Modern Capital, he was very pleased and shared all the information with me, and we kind of agreed, like, this is the right way to go.
I mean, you can talk about, I don't want to necessarily coach, but I would always come to you with my afterthoughts of these meetings.
Yeah.
And the first couple of guys, I go, yeah, I'm not sure, I'm not feeling it. And with Tyler, I was like, okay, this guy said a couple of things that caught my attention. And then when he sent any information over, it was consistent with what he said or with what I understood.
Right.
And again, our understanding of finances is limited. What he explained, what I understood was consistent with what information he sent us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you could put that into words, it's, when after our meetings with them and our discussion after those meetings, we were able to connect the dots and things were consistent with what we heard, understood, and what we were shown or provided. You sat in on a couple of meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and then after other meetings, we would sit down and talk about it. And you could even perceive in me, as you as well, a comfort level with the information we were being given.
So as Steve was getting information from Tyler, I would sit in on some of the calls, and after the calls we would discuss all the options, and I could just tell that Steve was confident about it, and it made me feel more comfortable in our decision.
What I like most about the plan that Tyler laid out for me was that he provided me the plan before we had to sign anything. We had several discussions beforehand. We discussed specifics. I gave him some very high-level information. He threw out some concepts and some ideas, and he said, I'm going to get back back to you in about 3 days or so. Within 3 days of the meeting, we had another teleconference, and he ran through the plan that he put together based upon the information I provided, and then he gave me the plan. He forwarded it to me. I didn't have to sign anything. I didn't have to pay anything. I had in my hand a tangible plan before I agreed to anything with Modern Capital. That for me was a winner.
I had great concern about being virtual, where I've never dealt with that kind of situation before. I like having somebody in front of me talking about this kind of information. But after a few encounters with Tyler and Dee was confident about it, I was more interested in it.
Modern Capital, to my understanding, the way it was explained to me, COVID is what precipitated the remote model with Modern Capital. Similarly, in my business, we were forced to go primarily remote. I had a comfort level with it. Modern Capital was able to leverage that remote model, and the savings that they realized from not having multiple corporate offices, they were able to then pass those savings on to us in the form of other services. Again, for me, that checked a number of boxes. Linda spoke very clearly about her level of concern with, what do you mean they don't have an office that we can go to? And when I explained the way it came about, I think we gained your comfort level. I think we did. Tyler demonstrated for me that he had our best interests at heart by his accessibility. Past people that I had worked with, it would often take a number of days to get a response to either a text, a phone call, or an email. Tyler and his team were immediately accessible. I felt as though they were actually literally waiting for my communication. That level of turnaround time, that rate of turnaround time, made me feel like I was the most important thing that they had going on that day.
I felt most at ease when Tyler went through the PowerPoint with us. It was probably the second time when he explained everything to us and made it clear what we were going to be doing in our future.
With Tyler Boschen had put together a number of PowerPoints for us throughout the onboarding process, if you will, and he wasn't going to send us any papers to sign until we had a level of comfort with the material that he was discussing and preparing. So he had prepared the PowerPoints, sent them to us. In the in-between, we had double questions and discussions back and forth, email, text, etc. After the second PowerPoint presentation, when he sent it to us, we had such a comfort level with them. It really was like a natural fit, I think. It was the concept that we're not even going to talk about a contract. We're not going to talk about pressuring the sale or making the connection until we had a level of comfort with the entire discussion, every element of discussion. For me, that was gold. Our outlook on retirement changed once we had a solid plan in place and we saw that the numbers were going to work. That was our biggest concern. We didn't know if the numbers were going to work. We had no idea if we were going to be solvent going forward. Tyler put us completely at ease with a solid plan, clear explanation, and it allowed us to breathe collectively once we had an understanding of how the plan was going to work. Tyler Bosch and Modern Capital were absolutely excellent at explaining the financial plan and how it would look moving forward. Put us completely at ease.
And with two daughters' weddings coming up and maybe a vacation in the horizon, we were kind of put at ease, like we can do this.
Tyler Bosch was able to completely put our minds at ease with big life events coming up this year. 2 weddings, 2 daughters getting married this year. The plan that Tyler had put together allowed Linda to do the planning process with my daughters, and we didn't have to worry about the financial part of it. That was all put aside, and we were able to move into the planning part and enjoy the entire process as it's always intended. And we're grateful for that.
Gave us a great comfort. I would recommend Tyler to others, my neighbors, my friends, my family.
We have,
yes.
I'm sure everybody has seen all the television commercials about those institutions that are fiduciaries and all, and Modern Capital certainly is a fiduciary. When we get into conversations with our contemporaries about, well, retirement, we're always pleased to brag about Modern Capital and Tyler. We tell them over and over. We find ourselves in that conversation repeatedly, and we're more than happy to share the information that we have with regards to Modern Capital. We're very pleased. Probably the biggest piece of advice I would give to people who are just starting their retirement plans is to do your due diligence. Look at a number of different financial planners. Don't just take what is said to you as dogma from one person. Compare your notes from one company to another. Take notes, create files, and do a comparison. Do your due diligence. And I believe you'll find that when you start doing line-by-line comparison, that Modern Capital is a good fit. Folks are just typically so busy living and getting on with life. If you're not in the mode where you're planning for your retirement, yeah, you're socking money away, perhaps in a 401k or what have you, but you're not really giving much thought to it. Once you start to shift your focus on retirement, the most important thing that for us that we found was clear communication. We ran across several financial planners who the first thing they wanted us to do was to sign a contract. There were some who were willing to talk to us without, but for the most part, it was a 20,000-foot view of what they could do for us. Modern Capital, they gave us a plan. They gave us the plan, and they didn't talk about contract until we wanted to. That's the kind of communication that I feel is pivotal in planning your retirement.
Retirement came quick for us. We weren't really expecting it to happen so fast. So it was kind of a shock. And then with 2 weddings coming up, it was the planning and how we're going to do all this. But we found Modern Capital, Tyler, talking to him, really put us at ease to realize that we can get all this done and it's possible.
The plan that Tyler Bosch and Modern Capital put together has allowed me to take a breath. Let's put it that way. With all the uncertainty in the world, with all the things going on in our lives, with 2 weddings, etc., we were very uncertain on how we were going to get through this next phase of our life. To the point where you sit there and you find your breath catching in your chest, or waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning just wondering about, finances. Modern Capital has allowed me to sleep and breathe. And for that, I'm grateful to Tyler Bosch and the team.
And talking to Tyler about the upcoming events and that we would like to travel and do things, he was just so calm and confident that, yeah, you'll be doing all that. Before we were uncertain, not knowing where we're going to go, what we're going to do, but now we have some light on it. And we feel so much more at ease and comfortable with what the future will have for us.
For me, the whole experience was just a big positive. It was a very, very uncertain, something unknown for me. Modern Capital and Tyler Bosch and the team there, they paved the way and made it was a seamless process. The onboarding was seamless. Setting up the various funds was seamless. The explanation for the brokerage fund was flawless. The setup of the annuity was flawless. The customer service at the annuity is tremendous. We're absolutely thrilled, very much looking forward to our future. We're no longer concerned and uncertain about our future. We're looking forward to every bit that's coming our way. And we're grateful for them for making it so easy for us. Grateful.